Okay, so for our last topic this unit, we're going to discuss the respiratory system. Very related to that circulatory system in the heart we just finished discussing. So let's pause this video and read about the respiratory system. Okay, let's read it together now. The circulatory system is the system in the human body that moves materials around in our body. The circulatory system involves the heart, arteries, veins, lungs, and the blood. Cells in the body require oxygen to function. That means to work. And when these cells use oxygen, they make carbon dioxide as a waste product. So our body needs oxygen and our body makes carbon dioxide. But how does the human body obtain oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide? This is the purpose of the respiratory system. So the purpose or function of the respiratory system is to obtain, which means to get oxygen, and to get rid of CO2, carbon dioxide. When humans contract the muscular diaphragm in their chest, it causes air with lots of oxygen to be pulled in. Air travels from the nose and mouth to the throat. The throat's also called the pharynx. Past the vocal cords, that's the larynx, to the trachea. If you tap gently your neck, you're not feeling your esophagus there, you're actually feeling your trachea, which is also sometimes called the windpipe. So this is where air travels into your body. It then branches off into a left and right bronchus tube. These are the bronchioles. These then branch off into smaller and smaller bronchioles. These are tinier and tinier tubes. It'll look like the little branches of a tree, almost. And then they finally arrive in tiny air sacs called alveoli. These little air sacs are very elastic, so they can expand and contract when we breathe. Some diseases like emphysema are caused when these little air sacs can no longer contract, so they can't really get oxygen like they used to. When blood arrives in the lungs, the pulmonary capillaries, it picks up oxygen from the alveoli and drops off carbon dioxide. Gas exchange happens between these pulmonary capillaries and alveoli. Okay, next, let's listen to and label the structures of the respiratory system. So on the top left of this diagram, that's just kind of showing your nose and mouth, where air will enter the body. Okay, from the nose and mouth, air will travel to the back of the throat, the pharynx. I think on this diagram, that's the top right box. Air will then travel over these little kind of elastic cords almost, these structures in the back of your throat. These are the vocal cords, and this is your larynx. So when air passes over these, the vibrations of these cords cause us to produce sound. Kind of weird. Air will then travel down one thin tube through your neck and into your lungs. This is called the trachea, so that would be the middle box on the right. Okay, it goes from the trachea into the lungs. Now the lungs are made up of these the left and right bronchus tubes, these tiny little bronchioles, and then these end off with these tiny little sacs called alveoli. Okay, I'm going to help label these now. So this top left was the nose and mouth. Your pharynx, your back of your throat, is your pharynx. Right at the back of your throat, you have your larynx. That's your vocal cords where we produce sounds in our bodies. Air then goes down this long tube called a trachea. Sometimes you might see doctors and paramedics performing a tracheotomy. When someone's airway is blocked here, they stick a tube right through your neck to get to that airway so they can give people oxygen and air. Okay, air then goes into the lungs. So this shows one lung. We have two lungs in our body. Air then branches off. So right here, this arrow is pointing to that right bronchus tube. And this would be pointing to the left bronchus. That's already labeled for you. And then from the bronchus, it travels into these tiny little bronchioles, these tiny little branches. And then it ends up, this is kind of a magnification of what one of these little, so this would be the tiniest little bronchiole right here. And we have thousands, with each one of these, we have hundreds and thousands of these tiny little air sacs called alveoli. And then lastly, what is this thing on the bottom? Right below your lungs, you have this strong muscle. This strong muscle is what allows us to breathe in and out. It's called the diaphragm. So could everyone just feel their chest and take a deep breath in? So when you are breathing in, this strong muscle is going to contract, and it's going to change the volume in your chest cavity. And if anyone's taken chemistry, you know the relationship between pressure and volume. So when this volume changes, it causes air to be sucked into your lungs here. And then when this muscular diaphragm relaxes, it's going to actually push the air back out of there. Okay, down here below. This kind of shows the close-up of one alveoli, an alveolus, and one little blood capillary in our lungs, the pulmonary capillary. And I'd like you just to discuss with someone the direction of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the alveoli and the carbon and the capillary. Okay, finally, what's going on right now is this COVID-19 is this highly contagious virus. And this is a virus like the flu virus and like the SARS virus and like all these others that attacks the lower parts of the respiratory tract, which we now just learned about. That means these little viruses love to go down and attach to our bronchioles and the bronchial tubes and in those alveoli of our lungs. So I'd like you to maybe write a sentence now. Think about, why do you think it is a problem when viruses attack these parts of the body? And what are maybe some problems that happen as a result of this?